Wow, that was pretty. The intro, not the game. That wasn't pretty. The intro was pretty. Kudos to you. It's No One Asked Us, a little Illinois postgame show. Welcome. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out with us despite the ugly game on the court in Champaign. But we're glad you're here. He's Craig Choate. I am Logan Lee. Illinois takes down Oakland at the State Farm Center, 64-53. The Golden Grizzlies of Oakland, a team that almost beat Ohio State earlier in the week. Illinois came out on top by 11 points, so I guess that's better than Ohio State. Get in the comments, let us know your thoughts. We'll get to those in the chat here soon. We'll try to keep this short and sweet. It is approaching 10 o'clock in the East, and yeah, let's just get into this thing. First off, it's a win, which I know that you and I both, but definitely you, would have been in much worse spirits.
What are you saying?
Had this game ended. I'm just saying that while we are both big fans and ride or die, one of us takes losses worse than the other. Not that I take them great, because I certainly do not. But I just know how you can be in these situations. Craig, how are you? Good to see you.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
This team's got a long way to go. This team has a long way to go, and I think the coaches need to do some reflecting as well, because you had to know this team was going to play zone. You had to know. I don't know what they did against Ohio State, so maybe you didn't. But this team just looked totally unprepared to face a zone, and it's really disheartening the way they look tonight. I mean, I know it's a win, but it makes me a little more skeptical, as it should, about the rest of the season, because they were exposed in certain ways, I think.
So my question going into this is, you obviously address the zone thing and the coaching, and do you, as a coaching staff, do you go into these games? Do you do what you have to do to win these games, or do you do what you need to do to prepare for your season ahead? What is more important if you're a head coaching or coaching staff of a college basketball team in these early, quote unquote, warm up, bye game, whatever you want to call them, non-conference games against teams like Oakland and Eastern Illinois? What is more important? Getting the W any way you can, or putting yourself in a better situation down the road? Because the way I look at what happened tonight, that Illinois team was trying to put themselves in a better position down the road. They weren't doing what they needed to do to win the game tonight. And I don't really know exactly what the answer is. I don't know that's just how I viewed it. I just felt like they were trying to fine-tune their offense for how they're going to need to play Tuesday against Marquette and in the Big Ten and that type of thing. Whereas if you really just wanted to win this game, you just would have gave the ball to Dain Dainja every time down the court. But they didn't. That just didn't even cross their mind.
But does Marquette play zone though?
I don't know. But Coleman Hawkins didn't even touch the paint. I don't know. You're right. It's the zone thing. It's a case by case basis in who you play and everything else. All I'm saying is that I just felt like this game was treated as we're going to make ourselves better for down the road.
Yeah, it could be. I think, to answer your question, I think you play to win and you get a big enough lead where you can tinker with some things. I mean, that's kind of what I would think.
They never really got that big enough lead.
They never got that. It took them 32 minutes to figure out, put Coleman Hawkins in the high post, let him face up and find Dain or kick it out. I mean, what were the 3-point numbers tonight? 4 of 16. Only took 16 threes. I mean, that's about 10 less than they shot last year. But now you only made 25% of them. And that's how you beat a zone. Good shooting beats a zone. And so if teams want to beat Illinois, you're going to have to make it. You want to make them shoot threes, play a zone, man. I think that was shown tonight. Also, the lack of a point guard that can knife his way through the zone and get to the bucket. There was no one there. No one on the court could break their defender down. They just don't have the handles, and it was apparent. So,
yeah, this is going to be a problem throughout the course of the season. No, I don't think every team's going to throw the same zone at you. But still, like you just have to know these things. You have to figure these things out. You mentioned Coleman Hawkins, who quietly put up 8 and 8.
A lot of it was late, I think.
It was super late. I was going to come on here and comment like, where the hell is Coleman Hawkins? Yeah. Because up until, I don't know, I mean, yeah, it was, the last 10 or so minutes of the game. My Coleman take is I figured we were going to go into this game or into this season and I was expecting strides, improvements from Coleman. That we're going to see changes and things. And so far, I haven't really seen that. Still seeing the same Coleman. But whatever. When it mattered the most, he stepped it up. His passing was much improved at the end. Still put up 8 points, 8 boards, 5 assists. I mean, so it's a Coleman type of stat line. But I just felt like the first 20 some minutes of this game, he wasn't even there. Which it's frustrating because he was non-existent against Eastern Illinois. So it's a little concerning.
Yeah, I was ready for that too. I was in the same boat as you. About 8 minutes left, I was like, dude, Coleman Hawkins he's got 25 games to figure his shit out, or else he's back to the old Coleman Hawkins. Like, we were all so excited for him to come back, and I was prepared to be like, man, I wish he would have gone to the draft, which is not the case because he's gonna turn it around. It's the second game of the year. I said it early in the game in the group chat. Was Kansas maybe the worst thing that could have happened to this team? Was beating Kansas maybe the worst thing that could have happened to this team?
Could have been.
Because that I was thinking more so, there was just no effort, it seemed, or no hustle. Like we beat Kansas, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We beat the number 1 team in the country. We'll be fine. It's proven to be the case. They have been fine. This was a little nerve-wracking, but it wasn't a nail-biter for any means. It was a double-digit win. Kind of took control with 5 or 6 minutes left, so kind of eased the pressure there. But that's 2 games in a row that have been close at half against far inferior opponents.
Yeah. And
that's been a trend in the past. For some reason, Brad's teams never come out of the gate strong. It seems like Illinois is always fighting from behind. And I don't know how you fix that.
Yeah, I don't know. I wondered, I don't want to harp too much on like stories we talked about on Tuesday or Monday, whenever that first game was. I wonder if the Sincere thing did kind of throw them off before the game. That sounds like that's when the players found out was in shoot around. I don't know that's like the reason why they came out flat in that game, but you're right. This has been a thing for quite some time. This team always seems to start slow like this. So I don't know. No, am I super concerned about it? No, not necessarily, but there are certainly things that we're seeing that are concerning. We can get into some of those more in depth here in a bit. Let's go over some of the numbers. Terrence Shannon led the Illini with 15 points. 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 6. He didn't hit a 3 until, I don't know, the last 10 or so minutes of the game. Still managed 15 points for him, 5 assists. A few others in double figures, which is nice to see. Quincy Guerrier had a nice game, 13 points, 8 boards, or 10 boards. That was nice to see from him because I wasn't really sure. Again, we're only 2 games in. We can't sit here and like talk about how we have this large sample size. But I'm glad to see him getting into the mix a little bit more. And he was really useful breaking down that zone defense too. He was in the right place at the right time there. Ty Rodgers, 10 points for him. And then Dain Dainja got into the mix, 10 points, 7 boards. So a near double-double for Dain, a double-double for Quincy, and Coleman had a nice stat line too, 8 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, 2 turnovers for Coleman. Marcus Damask wasn't great, 7 points, 3 turnovers. Let's see, anything else? Draven Gibbs Lawhorn went from scoring 18 points on Monday to 0 points tonight. 1 point for Justin Harmon, 0 points for Luke Goody. That's not great. Luke only took 2 shots. I think you want him taking more shots. Again, that
couldn't get open.
Talking about, I know, and that was an issue. But you got to figure some things out, because if this Oakland team is going to give you this much trouble,
Tuesday's going to be a bitch.
Yeah.
Analytics, I forgot to touch on Eastern, and who really cares about them, Eastern, but this one was much closer. Efficiency, which is all the good stats minus the bad stats, basically. Quincy Guerrier was 20 in efficiency. There were 3 players negative. Gibbs, Lawhorn, Harmon, and Goody were -1. Quincy was 20. Hawkins was 17, second on the team. So it's points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, minus missed shots and turnovers. So that's a good stat. And then net points is how many points you score. Points produced minus points allowed. Marcus Damask was -3.5 in points produced.
Can't be good.
Yeah. When you only score 7, how many assists did he have?
1.
So he had 8 points or 9 points produced. That means he gave up 16. No, 14. Almost 14 points. And Quincy was 7 there. And Dainja was 7 there. So just some more analytical stuff that I've forgot to look at last week that I looked at today.
I appreciate you. You in the analytics.
Game score too, but that's the one I like, but it's way too complicated to say on the show. Quincy and Terrence were head and shoulders the best in game score. They were only ones in double digits.
You want to go into a key 3 thing? I mean, we've already kind of harped on some of the big things here. I mean, the zone, the offensive flow in general, like the ball movement was good. They were moving all around the arc, but they couldn't get anywhere. They couldn't get it down. There was no option in the paint. They weren't making their shots. But the ball movement again is good, but it doesn't help when you're not making shots, especially in the first half. I had a couple other things I was going to mention here for the good and the bad, but I don't know. You just have to figure some of these things out, and that's again why you play these games. That's why you schedule Eastern Illinois and Oakland, is in your first week of the season, is they are, extension of exhibition games to an extent, but they count. I mean, these are good things to see, especially with a team that's a lot of new faces, experienced players, but new faces for this team. So a lot of things they're still figuring out, rotations they're still figuring out, lineup they're still figuring out, how they look without Sincere Harris, which, again, I don't think we need to talk about him for too long, but now that we know for sure that this is what's happening, like that's a whole nother element to this team that they're just not going to have. He was never going to bring you much offensively, but he last season was a defensive pest a lot of the time. So who's going to fill that role is going to be important. Again, these are just things they're just trying to figure out at this point. So
I see the issues that I said in the offseason. Everyone was talking about how this roster was different and this roster was different. And the 2 biggest issues last year were shooting, point guard play, and free throws. Yeah. And what have been the issues this first 2 games? Can't make a 3, can't make a free throw, and you don't have a point guard to run your offense. It's the same team, just with different bodies, different heights. They're all 6'3" and above, 6'3" and taller. Okay, but none of them are point guards. None of them are 3-point shooters. And apparently no one can shoot a free throw. What were the numbers tonight? Free throw.
They were 50% from the free throw line.
It's the easiest shot in basketball. I mean, come on.
Which 50%, but going over it, like Terrence was 5. Quincy was 3. Coleman was 2 for 2. Justin Harmon was 1 for 2. Dain was 0 for 3, but Dain's not going to make free throws. Like he's just not a free throw shooter. Yeah, or Ty.
Does make free throws.
Yeah,
0 for 1.
He was 0 for 1. So those two were 0 for 4 combined. Everybody else, they were okay. But yeah, that's going to be a big issue down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, no, you're right. I mean, that's
second game of the year. Things can get figured out. I don't want to overreact, but those were the issues last year.
Yeah.
And through 2 games, they seem to be the same issues. So
no, I don't disagree. What they brought in was experience, and hopefully that is more beneficial than anything else. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The biggest issues from last year they did not really correct. You want to check the chat? Who's in here? What's going on?
Some of the usual suspects. A lot from our
I
boy
saw Michael's in here.
Yeah. Had a good point earlier in the show. Coleman and center is how you beat the zone. It's how we beat zone last year. Yeah, I mean, when you get a 6'10" guy at the high post with Dain down low, you just lob it into Coleman at the high post, let him turn. And if they collapse down on Dain, then there's going to be people open on the wing, and you get an open shot. Now, if it's an open 3 and it's missed, that's fine. Which a lot of and I'm going to be completely honest, this didn't get my full attention until second half of the game because there was a lot of great college basketball on tonight, so I was watching other stuff as well. So I wasn't fully locked in on the quality of shots. But Michael's point is spot on. If you get Coleman or Quincy did well in the high post tonight,
yeah,
get those big guys in the high post where they can turn and make a decision. That's how you beat a zone. So it just took them 32 minutes to figure it out.
I still would have liked to have seen more from Dain. And he even had 10 points in 19 minutes. But I just felt like it was even the first few possessions he was on the court were just tossing up balls from
I think someone
30 feet
Dain
for no reason. I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating.
Yeah. First comment of the show. Dain couldn't be stopped.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I mentioned, whatever episode it was, like he feasts on this type of opponent. I mean, and he did that. He had his 10 points and 7 boards in 19 minutes. I mean, that's pretty effective, but I still would have liked to have seen more of it. And I get that he's, competing for minutes. Amani Hansberry didn't even touch the floor tonight. So it was clearly Coleman and Dain.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Quincy getting minutes at the 4. But yeah, I just, again, in these type of games, these are the games where you need to take advantage of Dain Dainja because he's not going to be nearly as effective in the Big Ten. But games like Oakland and Eastern Illinois, like you need to take advantage of him, and they just haven't yet.
Yeah, sounds like we got a little superstition here from Mike.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big Orange Crush guy too, so that makes sense.
Aren't you a McDonald's High C guy?
Oh, I love McDonald's High C. Oh yeah, it is my kryptonite.
Got it. Sometimes I know ball run now.
Yeah,
sometimes. Not all the time. I'm not taking credit all the time. Sometimes. Last week I knew what I was talking about because I called the sincere thing a little early.
Proud of you.
Sometimes I know what I'm talking about. Jay harping on the shooting here. I think Jay's a pretty loyal listener. Tune in.
Yeah, the team's gonna have to win by defense and rebounding, getting a few steals and fast breaks. Yeah, tough with no point guard. Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's and Terrence was trying. I think Terrence was a little out of control.
Yes.
But I was going to mention that later. But yeah, yes.
I loved what I saw from Terrence when he realized, okay, this is going to be a fight. There were some times where he made some steals, got some fast break dunks and layups, and when he gets in that zone, no one's stopping him. And then the one time he did, he found Dain for an open layup in transition. Yep. So when Terrence realized, okay, we need to figure our shit out. I liked the mode that he went into and kind of took things over.
He knows, like, we are going to see strides from him. Terrence Shannon, like, went last year, like, I don't think he really ever felt like it was his team. I don't think he's that type of personality.
Wonder if there was someone else that kind of wanted to. No, we'll leave it there.
Whatever. Somebody else wanted the ball a lot. This is Terrence Shannon's team, and he is going to double M. He's going to have to take over when even if it's a game against Oakland, like he's going to have to be the guy. He's an All-American for a reason. Like, this is his team. You're going to get help from other guys on a nightly basis, but like he's going to have to be the one that takes over. So, everyday guy of the game, who you got?
Quincy.
Yeah.
Quincy Guerrier was impressive. He was a guy that I know he has 4 years of high major experience. I wasn't all that excited to get him, but I really, really liked the way he played, specifically in the second half tonight. The game changed, and I will give the broadcasters credit. I tried to sync up Barnhart with the broadcast TV video, and it just didn't work. So I finally gave in, and I listened to the BTN Plus kids guys. They made a good point that when they switched and put Guerrier on their Oakland leading scorer, that really threw him off.
Yeah.
Thornton, was that his name? Townsend.
No,
Trey Townsend.
Yeah. He had a nice night.
He had a very nice night.
Player.
He had he was throwing everything in this early in the second half, and then they put Guerrier on him, and his size bothered him, and then he grabbed some rebounds, and he made some buckets, and ended up with a double-double. I loved every bit of what I saw from Quincy Guerrier tonight.
So somebody else made this comp, and it hadn't even like dawned on me. I don't remember who it was. It might have been somebody on a different show. I don't know who it was. Jacob Grandison. He's kind of the Jacob Grandison role on this team. He does different things. He does things a little differently.
Yeah.
But that's the type of role that's the role he's filling from what this team had a couple of seasons ago.
I feel that.
You know, again, not the same player. They do things differently. But that, experienced guy who can come in and hit some shots and do some things, like, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm not expecting Quincy Guerrier to be your leading scorer, more than maybe a couple nights this season.
I don't think he might never.
Well, I think he's certainly capable of doing it once or twice, but he's not, that's not the type of player he is.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an interesting comp, but I hadn't really thought about that. He's the obvious answer. I'll go with Dain, though. I mean, again,
I figured you would,
19 minutes. Yeah, I mean, it's the only other real. I mean, we can obviously go with Terrence. He's going to be the guy every night. But if we're going to go try to do something a little different, Dain, 10 points, 8 or 7 boards. Didn't make a free throw, but I don't think he's going to make many of those this season. But he was effective when they got him the ball.
Played some good defense.
And for a while, he was the only offense in the first half. So. Again, these are the games that he needs to be able to feast.
Yep.
How about some good and bad? What do you want to go with? What do you want to highlight?
Michael's listening to Coach, and I'll highlight this because to hold Oakland to 53 points and 5 threes when they hit, what did we say for Monday night? Didn't they hit like 12? One dude hit 6 by himself.
Yes, exactly.
Monday night. So to hold them to 5 threes and 53 points, defense was pretty impressive. I'll say that. Defense was pretty good. I touched on Dain just a little bit ago. His defense in the post, Quincy's defense on I already forgot the guy's name. Their leading scorer. Townsend. Yeah. Quincy's defense on him was good. So I was very pleased with the defense. Good effort on that end. Offense was the bad, I guess. I'll do my good and bad now. Offense was just lackluster, going through the motions. We've touched on it all. Going through the motions, not getting deep into the zone and penetrating the zone and dishing. So, there's my good and bad.
Yeah. No, I mean, my good's a lot of the same stuff we've talked about. Quincy, some of that stuff. The bad for me, as I said, I kind of touched on it, and I agree with you that I liked the aggressiveness, but it was sloppy. Like
Oh yeah.
it was really sloppy basketball. Like Terrence Shannon was out of control for several possessions. Again, love the aggressiveness, but I was just kind of flabbergasted by how many times I felt like he was just running with no destination in mind. It just wasn't clean basketball, but it was a win, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. What else we got? I know Michael's kind of our eye in the sky when it comes to.
Yeah, he said coach can't believe how bad they're shooting. I mean, you didn't go out and get Reggie Miller. Like, I don't know where.
No, but I do think this team should be better shooting than they.
Should they? Yeah, and I'm sure in practice, they're shooting 50% from three or whatever, shooting on the gun. But I know coach is going to say what he wants, and that's, we don't see them every day, but I just don't see where he expected the shooting to be better when you didn't add a shooter. I know you got Luke Goody back, but he took 2 shots. He couldn't get open. We got our buddy Dwayne. Thanks for the feedback last week, Dwayne. Listening to the game in the Philippines, the game sounded ugly. Apparently, the game watched a lot better than it sounded.
Not really.
No, I wouldn't say so. It was pretty ugly to watch.
The last 8 minutes did, but
yeah,
that's about it. It was not a pretty watch.
Yeah.
It was not great. I will say though, and you mentioned it. I was impressed with the broadcasting.
I thought they were good tonight. Yeah.
I thought they were good. I thought the kid doing color talked a lot, but he had a lot of informative things to say. I was rather pleased. It says sometimes I listen to these student productions and I want to just turn them off. I didn't really get that urge today. I was kind of impressed with the broadcast.
Yeah.
So we get one more BTN Plus game.
Yeah.
I think it's next week. I think it's
Friday,
the Valpo game.
It's Friday again. I
mean, I wasn't.
I get it. Coming from my background, I should appreciate it more than I do. I just think, regular season games of a top 25 program in the country don't need student broadcasters. That's, I don't know. And I
don't disagree.
Yeah.
I really don't.
It's awesome for the kids. I went to if they would have done that at SIU when I was there, hell yeah. I mean, it's great for them, but give an alternative option with some guys that are professional.
What I was thinking about, and again, I'm speaking as somebody that has provided color commentary for college basketball on the radio. Yeah. I think that role should go to somebody that's Joe Schmo, former or broadcasters not doing color analysts.
Yes, that's always the former players.
Ever. It's a former player, former coach. So even if you're going to have a student I don't know exactly what that means, who you bring in, but I don't know. Surely there's somebody that, played the game at a high enough level that could come in and work with some 22-year-old college kid.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is, but, again, I was kind of impressed with the broadcast too, but that was kind of my take. Okay. Anything else? Do we need to get into this before we preview a little bit next week?
No, I don't think so. Unless you want to talk about Michigan football.
No, not today. Not today. We could save that for Monday. Illinois takes down Oakland tonight in Champaign. 64-53 was the final.
I always like to look at the win probability chart on ESPN.
Oh, yeah.
There was a point where Oakland had the greater than a 50% chance to win. 10:22 left in the game. They were up by 3, and ESPN win probability gave them a 52.8% chance to win, and then it all collapsed.
Huh.
I mean, they went on a 6-minute scoring drought, I think.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Okay. We'll just take a trip here real quick around college basketball tonight. A lot of teams in action. You mentioned you were this was really the only game I had on. I wasn't really messing with anything else, but
Duke, Arizona.
the big one was Duke fell at home to Arizona
Yep.
in Cameron, 78-73. That was the big game tonight. Texas A&M beat Ohio State. Is that in Columbus, I assume?
It was, yes.
So Texas A&M's good. They're, ranked 15th in the country, but not great to lose at home in the first
They
couple
were
weeks of the
underdogs. I
season.
almost put some money on that, but I was scared.
Purdue 30 points better than Moorhead. Wisconsin right now is losing at home to Tennessee.
I was watching that before we came on.
There's still 15 minutes left to go. That one's on Peacock if you're
Yep.
interested. And then Illinois' opponent on Tuesday night, Marquette, is up big on Ryder right now. Marquette currently the number 5 team of the country. Well, I don't know. I mean, this Illinois team, if the same Illinois team that played against Kansas shows up, this could be an Illinois win. But if it's the team that showed up the first 2 games of the regular season, I don't know. I think Marquette could wipe the floor with them. But we'll see. I mean, I think they will come out for that game a little with a little more fire.
Yeah.
Than they did. It's just easier to do it.
I would hope
it's
so.
easier to come out fired up for a game against Kansas than it is Eastern Illinois and Oakland. I understand that. Like that's just human psyche. Like that's just how this stuff works. But Marquette, we show a little bit more fire out there because that would be nice. That's going to be a big game on Tuesday night.
Test for you.
Yeah. Can
you name 2 players on Marquette's roster?
I can name one. That's about it. Tyler Kolek.
Okay. I had 2. I had Cam Jones. He's
who
their leader. I had Cam Jones. That's the only other one I had.
Yeah.
He's I don't know. He's their leading scorer tonight.
Yeah.
6'5" guard. But yeah, I didn't have anyone. And neither of us are big East experts.
No. No. Why leave that to John Fanta?
Yeah. There was an upset in the Big Ten tonight.
What was that? I didn't see that score.
Team projected to finish in the top 5 of the conference got beat at home. The Turtles.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one. I guess that was only like the top 25. They weren't in the top 25.
Oh, they didn't get beat at home. It was the Asheville Championship. They got beat by Davidson by 3.
I can't get my computer to load anything. Northwestern was playing Dayton. I saw that Connor Onion and Bruce Weber were on the call for that. How did that game go?
Up by 5 with a minute left.
Okay. Yeah, if my computer would load, I would tell you more scores, but whatever. Yeah.
There's nothing else notable. I mean, everyone else was a pretty big blowout. Penn State beat Lehigh by 9. Did you see Fairleigh Dickinson's Twitter yesterday or the day before?
No.
They tweeted their final score. They beat their opponent like 104-60. And they had their logo 104-60 with the Penn State Nittany Lions logo. And I was like, wait a second. I know Penn State lost their coach and they're kind of rebuilding, but there's no way. So I went to ESPN and it wasn't on ESPN. I'm like, okay, was this a club team thing? No, it wasn't a club team. It was the actual Fairleigh Dickinson team. They beat Penn State Brandywine.
Oh.
Which apparently uses the same logo. I don't know. Or they just didn't they used the wrong logo for their graphic. I don't know. No, they do. They use the same logo.
Interesting. I didn't think you could do that.
Yeah. Huh. So it threw me for it was 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I was like,
I did not see that.
Dickinson beat Penn State by 40? Yeah.
Okay. Penn State Brandywine. Well, the more you know. All right. One more check of the chat. Anything else before we sign off
from
here?
Coach, from Michael as well. Football tomorrow and a women's game tomorrow.
Yep.
What's the women's game? It's not Missouri yet, is it?
No.
Surely not.
It's not Missouri. It is. Marquette.
Football's Indiana.
It
is Marquette. It is Marquette.
Yeah.
That's right.
In Milwaukee.
That's right. Is it on TV or is it a BTN Plus?
It's on Flow Hoops.
Okay, neither. So we can't watch that. That's really it. Dwayne's in here asking about let's lock in at least 2 or 3. With the upper tier losses in the Big Ten, it seems like the Illini position in the upper tier is solidifying. If they show well against Marquette, they should lock in at least a 2 or a 3. Thoughts? You're not going to lock anything in the third game of the season. I'll be much more confident in this team if they show well against Marquette, but there's a lot of basketball left. And we know Illinois basketball. It can go a lot of different directions.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of talent on this team, and you have an All-American leading the way. So, we have to believe that this is a top 2 or 3 team in the Big Ten. But no, I'm not ready to commit to anything at this point. But a win over Marquette would certainly be nice. Would be one of the bigger non-conference home wins.
It's been a long time since Illinois beat a top. When was the last time they beat a ranked team at home, non-conference? I think that was the talk. What was it? 2 years ago when Arizona came? It has been. Was it the Wake Forest game in 2005?
Surely there's been something else since then, but it might not be. I mean, it might not have been.
It's been a while.
I don't know.
It's been a while.
Surely there's a Big Ten ACC game. I don't know. Whatever. Not important. Either way, big game on Tuesday. We will talk more about that on our show on Monday. I assume we're going to have a show on Monday. We're still doing shows on Monday?
As far as I know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Well, then let's shut it down. One more time. Final in Champaign, 64-53. Illinois takes down the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. We will.
Brian Barnhart called him the Grizzly Bears once on accident.
Well,
you're a close friend.
They're Grizzly. I was waiting for the guys on BTN to call them the Golden Gophers.
Yeah.
But yeah, 64-53 final. We will see you Monday at our regular time for a regular show, recapping football, doing a little bit of basketball preview, talking Michigan, talking whatever else, and then we will have a show Tuesday night, probably win or lose. That's probably a game that we will probably not expecting to win that game anyway. So I think we're going to definitely have a show Tuesday night.
Probably.
Friday after that, I don't know, TBD.
No.
For Craig?
Huh? We will not.
Friday?
Friday? We will not.
We will not have a show next Friday. For Craig, I'm Logan. We will see you guys on Monday. Peace.